Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Nikki, as the one-handed bandit if this is your first time watching, and if you are a returning subscriber, hello and a welcome back to you all as well. So today I didn't know what I was going to film today, so I saw this on my vanity and I said to myself, I wonder how these shadows will perform. You know, if you're a makeup lover, you know that most makeup products have expiration dates, whether they're 6 months all the way up to 24 months. And sometimes they can be very pricey. And spending, I'd say, $200 on a palette that expires in 6 months isn't very reasonable to some people. But I'm not doing that with the palette that I'm doing today. This is the Sephora Collection palette. I believe I purchased this in, I want to say 2004. I know I was living in New York when I purchased it because I remember going to the city to stop by Sephora and purchase it. So I was wondering how these shadows perform, and I have graduated quite a bit with my makeup process, my makeup application, and things like that. So I wanted to know how these shadows would perform because I have every single eyeshadow palette I have ever purchased, whether they're expired or not. I am a collector of palettes and lipsticks, so I have a hard time getting rid of palettes. So I just wanted to play in some new, play into something that I haven't dabbled in quite a while. So this palette, it has mattes and shimmers, and it also has, it's 48 shades of eyeshadow, and it has 15 lip glosses. I'm going to put it down for a moment because it's pretty heavy and it's hard for me to show you everything. So let me just open it up. So it looks like this. And right there in the middle, that black spot, that is the travel size palette. So it pops out, looks like this, and it has these 3 little compartments where you can pop out each trio. And for instance, I'm going to do the colors that I used on my eye today. I'm going to pop out those and pop them in. So I popped out the 3 trios that I used on my eyes today, and so this is what the remainder of the palette looks like. So as you can see, there's some things missing, and they do have some lip glosses in there, and you can see I have used a few of them in the past. That's before I knew what I was doing with makeup. So with me popping out those 3 trios, this is what the little travel size thing looks like. So I have this green here on my lower lash line. This is a gold. This is what I have on my lid. And then over here, this brown, this, and I have these 2 browns in my crease and transition area. So this was a good concept with Sephora to give you the ability to pop out these shades and put it in a travel size little palette. And you can also pop out the lip glosses as well. And also, if you just wanted to do 6 eyeshadows and 3 glosses, you can pop it out as well. I did do some research on Google trying to find out what year this palette was and what was the name of it, because I was really intrigued and very interested, because these kind of remind me of the Fenty Snap Shadows and how those palettes snap together. And then you had I think it was 9 shades in each palette, so you had a 12 shade eyeshadow palette with snapping in the 2 palettes. So that reminded me of that concept. So if you wanted to see how I created this eye look using a 16-year-old expired eyeshadow palette, stay tuned. I don't know how good these shadows are going to appear, but I'm going to try and just create a look just to see. You know, I know some eyeshadow palettes do have an expiration date of some of 6 months, 12, 18, 24 months. I don't know what this one is, and I'm quite sure it is well expired. So if it doesn't perform well, I want to leave a disclaimer. This is nothing bad about the Sephora brand products, because I do use quite a bit of their products. I use their brushes, their their oil-based cleanser. I use their makeup remover wipes. I use their makeup removing balm. So quite a few of Sephora brand products I use. But I just thought it would be an interesting video to do today with using um, my very first eyeshadow palette. So because the shadows may not perform well, I'm going to go in with a very light base and a very good primer. This is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Eye Primer. And then I'm just going to take my concealer brush and I'm just going to spread the product all over. When I used to live in New York, I used to go to the city as often as possible. When I purchased this, I believe I was still living in Brooklyn, and I used to go to college downtown Brooklyn, and I used to shop a lot. And I remember purchasing this not in Brooklyn, but in the city. And I just wanted a makeup product, something that I can put on to make myself feel good, to look pretty, to feel pretty. I don't know what was going on with me. Maybe I was having a bad day or something, but I was really adamant about purchasing makeup that day. And at that time in my life, I really wasn't interested or, you know, too intrigued by makeup. I was, you know, being a single mom. I had a kid in public school, working, just, you know, living that everyday single mom life. So getting into makeup really wasn't something that I was interested in, but I always, you know, popped into a Sephora and looked at lipsticks and lip glosses and mascaras. And I would often just buy a lipstick or a lip gloss just to have something to buy. It just felt like it was empowering. So now that I have the base on and it's evenly blended, I'm gonna start with something neutral. So these little eyeshadows, they do pop out. They are in little trios. I would hold it up, but it's hard for me to hold this heavy palette up. And so this is the first trio, which has some neutral tones. So I'm going to start with the middle shade right here. And I'm just going to use that in my transition area. So we're going to start with the lightest and then work our way to what I'm going to put on my lid. Ooh. So this trio, it has 3 shades. This is the middle shade, And this is the deeper shade. I was going to use the deeper shade because I thought this one was going to appear a little ashy, but okay, Sephora, you shut me up. I can't imagine how I would have tried to do my makeup, what, 16, well over 10 years ago with this pigmented shadow. I probably would have looked a hot mess. I mean, it's pigmented, but as I blend it out, you can see how it disappears. And that's because the shadows are expired. They're very, very, very old. So they might not be very good for blending. Maybe this will work for a cool tone smoky eye. Not liking the way this is looking already. So I'm going to take the deeper brown, this one right here, and add that in my crease. I don't believe I'll be doing a cut crease. This is just a simple look. I was just curious as to how well expired palettes work. And depending on the brand, sometimes, you know, you can have a palette that's expired and it still works just as good as it did the day that you bought it. This kind of looks like I use blacks and grays. Here's a little bit up close so you can take a look at how everything is blending. And I'm gonna go back with the first brush and blend out the edges. It all looked like it just blended into just one shadow. It just seems like the look is just going very smoky, gothic, grayish, blackish. And that's not what I wanted. I wanted to keep it very neutral. And that's why I chose these shades. I thought that the tan middle shade would be lighter, but apparently it is not. So I'm gonna need to lighten it up a bit. I'm trying to see if there's another color. There's nothing really in this palette that would work other than the lightest shade in this little trio. So I'm gonna take the lightest shade and I'm just gonna use that just to brighten it up a little bit. Okay, it doesn't look like she can be saved, so I'm gonna choose a lid shade. I have this trio that has this gold, and then this one, which is like a brown shimmer. And then this trio that has more of a army green. This is a lighter lime green. And this one is another gold shade. I might go with the first one. I'm gonna use this gold on my lid. I'm going to really saturate my brush with it. And then I'm going to take the brush that I used for the second brown shade, and I'm just going to deepen up the outer V right here. Not coming out exactly how I wanted it to be, because these browns are definitely well expired. I mean, they appear light in the pan, but you can see how ashy the middle shade is, and the brown, the deeper brown, it is a nice crease color, if you want to say. But I just was curious as to how an expired palette would perform, so I'm not in my eyes. I just really don't like how my brow bone is looking, because it has that ashy look right underneath there. The crease is fine with that brown, but that ashy color is really bothering me. But we must move on. Base primer, I'm going to use a new primer that I received in my Sephora order, and this is by the brand The Ordinary, and this is their high spreadability fluid primer. And let's read what it says. It has a high flexible silicone, used as a last step in skincare regimen as a makeup primer. It supports makeup adherence, visible surface texture, and hydration. And this is what the product looks like. It looks like one of their serums. And I'm just going to take a little. Oh, 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 oh goodness. So we're not going to use a lot. Oh, it feels nice. It feels really, really nice on the skin. Yeah, that feels really nice. Let's see how it works with the foundation. And I am using the Anastasia Beverly Hills foundation. I'm in the shade 480C. And let's just blend it out. For concealer, I'm using the Beauty Bakerie Cake Face Concealer. This is their old concealer. As I mentioned before, I like to use up what I have before I purchase any new products. I do want to order their new foundation and concealer, but because I have this, I think this one is almost done, to be honest. It's really dry. But I'm going to see if I can get any product out of it. This is basically done. And just to brighten that up a bit, I'm going to go in with my Maybelline Age with Wine, which I'm also trying to finish up as well. I believe that the look is coming together. It doesn't look so bad. I mean, you can see the ashiness on my eyeshadow, but it isn't that bad. I've seen worse. Kind of looks like a date night look. Like a look you would wear in the evening, even though it's about 10 a.m. It is the Magic Powder Under Eye and Face by Charlotte Tilbury. It's a soft focusing, light diffusing loose powder. And I purchased the shade 3, which is Tan Dark. And this is what the packaging looks like. So I just took off the cap and there's a little bit of product in the cap. So I'm just going to use what's in the cap. This is like my skin tone. I wonder if I should have gotten a lighter shade. Go with this green right here at the top. I'm going to add that to my lower lash line. Now let's pack on flat right now. You can see my fat cheekbones. So to deepen that up, I'm going to be using, like I mentioned, I do love the Sephora brand products. This is the Sephora Spice Market blush palette. And I'm using this. It's a blush palette, but it has this contour shade right here, a bronzy shade. I love to use this to bronze up my face. So I'm going to use that. And next I'll be using my Jouer Cosmetics Hydrate Plus Set Powder. This is in the shade Dark. And then I'm just going to set my face. So for lips, I'm just going to use nothing new to the market. This is a Kat Von D liquid lipstick. This is in the shade Sanctuary. And I've always wanted this shade, but it was on sale for $5 during the sale. So I picked it up. And I'm just going to add that to my lips. Oh yeah. So that is it for today's video. That is all I have today. I hope that I have inspired you to dig into your makeup stash and find your oldest palette, the very first palette that you've purchased, no matter how old it is. Try it out, see how it works for you, and let me know down in the comments below, what is that first palette, what's the brand, what was the name, when did you purchase it? And let's talk about it down in the comment, and I will see you in my next video.